Good morning, friends. Happy Friday. I won't be doing any readings on Saturday and Sunday. I'm having a couple of days off, but let's enjoy a couple of chapters here from Andrew and the Magic Giveash ometer. And we're going to do Find Your Groove. So here we go. Find Your Groove. One of the great joys of my role is working with parents and caregivers of children with neurodiversities. I've been working with parents for a long time, delivering workshops about how to help children with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, and other neurological diversities. But in 2018, in the fabulous steel town of Scunthorpe, I was asked to talk about my own ADHD. Not in passing, not as a side issue, they wanted the whole thing. They took a lot of thinking about because I was cautious of my professional status. In my vision of the world, at that time, there were two types of specialists and trainers, those who have these conditions and the professionals who most definitely do not. Here I was, doing it all again. I was trying to be normal. I was trying to fit the mold. In ADHD, this is an absolute no-no. You should not try to be like everybody else. The other issue was that I did not want to be the lived experience. I'd worked really hard to reach where I was in my career, and I did not want to mess it up by being some kind of sideshow act. Nevertheless, I agreed and did it. I can be a bit like that. Two things happened on that day. Firstly, I gave a lot of people a lot of hope. This audience was inspired by the fact that here was a person who they saw as a successful adult and professional with ADHD. Maybe, just maybe, their child was going to achieve their goals and dreams. The other thing that happened was that I had opened the floodgates. It turned out that it is completely okay to be a professional with ADHD and that people will still respect you. I genuinely find that people are even more interested in the work that I do and what I have to say when they find out I have ADHD. The lived experience combined with professional experience and academic qualifications is actually a very positive thing indeed. The world is turning and attitudes are changing. It is such an uplifting experience to be able to share this key message. ADHD is not bad. When ADHD first started to be noticed in schools and colleges, people seemed to be terrified of these wild, unruly children who behave outrageously. But of course, this is not the case. It is, however, a cause of much worry and concern for parents. My message to parents of ADHD is simple. Help your child find their groove. Look at what they are good at and what they like to do and help them build their future accordingly. My father used to call me Mouth Almighty and Tramp's overcoat on all the time because I talk too much. Well, now I'm a professional speaker with a prolific conference profile. Get out of that. Once I was fortunate enough to deliver a lecture at the ADHD Foundation conference. The speaker after me was the gifted comedian impersonator and fellow ADHD brother Rory Bremner. Rory made a statement which has resonated with me ever since. Rory declared, "I want to hear about adults who are successful in their career. Not in spite of ADHD, but because of it." Well, that's my hand up and his hand up and many other people I know. My point? Easy. I have found what I'm good at and I have maximized it. I meet new people every day and I am constantly being stimulated. As a result, I am happy. I want as many parents and caregivers as possible to take comfort in the fact that there is a groove out there for their child. I am living proof of this, and I'm not the only one. There are many successful, contented adults with ADHD out there. I may not be a Nobel Prize winner, but success is relative, and from where I started, I'm in a great place. I now deliver lots of talks and workshops to parents and caregivers about my lived experience. It's good for all of us. The person behind the label. Mostly my job involves me going into schools, colleges, nurseries, care environments, and even corporate settings. In fact, any environment can benefit from the work I do. So I've been doing this work privately since 2007 and I love it. So what is it I do? Well, the simple answer is that I'm not really sure. But people seem to like it. But I guess I really should try to break it down into some kind of context. I deliver training workshops and I carry out observations. The training workshops are pretty simple, really. For anywhere between 2 to 5 hours, I will come in and talk to you about autism, ADHD, pathological demand avoidance, dyslexia, dyscalculia, fetal alcohol syndrome disorder, and a few other conditions, with a little smattering of mental health thrown in for good measure. On the face of it, it doesn't sound terribly exciting, but that's where the magic starts to happen. I try to put the delegate into the mind of the child. I hit the empathy button. What is it like to find loud noises painful? How does it feel not to be able to concentrate in class? How embarrassing is it not to be able to kick a ball or dress oneself? What does the number 4 really mean? Is it a symbol? Is it a word? Is it a presence? You see, behind each label is a person. For example, let's talk about autism for a change. Autism is not a word. Autism is a person with thoughts and feelings, probably a very confused person. If that person is a child, that child has to grow up, and ideally that child needs to grow into a successful adult. This time, their time in school is the crucial time for helping them to find their aforementioned groove. Sometimes in my training, people want me to give them strategies to help make the child be the same as all the other children. Maybe create a world where dyslexic children's preferred reading strategy is phonics, or where children with ADHD can sit through a 45-minute celebration assembly. Probably one where they personally have nothing to celebrate, or where an autistic child can understands all the teacher's jokes. Of course, I gratefully accept the challenge, but it's definitely not what I deliver. You see, when I get asked to deliver this kind of training, this is the ideal opportunity for me to do my job really well. For I am an educator. I do what teachers do every day, mostly incredibly well. Teachers invite children to challenge their concepts of the world and extend and enhance their understanding. I just happen to teach big people. When it comes to carrying out observations, it gets a little more involved. Only this week, a potential client asked me, "Which method do you use?" That sort of question makes me shudder in a fit of imposter syndrome, because I do not have a method. That's it. White House, the game is up. They found you out. But that isn't the case. The reality is that all children are different, all environments are different, all interactions are different. So I don't make a plan. This is the ADHD talking. In fact, it's more than that. This is the ADHD talking sense. This is what we do. ADHD people are eternal optimists, especially me. Why make a plan? I have no idea what I'm going to walk into, and I have no idea what I'm going to see and hear. I have just one preparation task. I buy a notepad. I believe that making a plan clouds the issues. Quite often, in fact, what I am told I am going to see, I do not see. A parent or a professional will often paint a vivid picture of what I am to expect, only for me to find something completely different. One particular favourite scenario was in school in the northeast. This particular child in Key Stage 1 was apparently very violent, particularly in the first hour or so, so I was booked to come in and observe him in the classroom for a morning. Dutifully, I arrived in the classroom all ready to witness the wild rumpus. When I arrived, nothing could have been more different. This child was an absolute delight, sitting up attentively on the carpet, helping other children with their reading and general loveliness. The teacher was beside herself. "I'm so sorry, Andrew, you've come all this way. He's usually dreadful." But is this a washout? Was it a waste of time? Heck no. What we have to do in a situation like this is to think in opposites. We need to ask the questions. What happened today to make it different? And how can we replicate these conditions? Time for the big conversation. Talk to the child. Ask the child if anything was different on that day. So I did, and it seems this morning his mother had taken him for sausage and egg vicious burger in the local eatery on the way to school. Not the healthiest of breakfasts, but food nonetheless. So let us look at the evidence. Normally he doesn't get a breakfast, but on this day he did. In UK schools, Key Stage 1 children get a healthy snack at break time and a school dinner at lunchtime. Between 9 and 10:30 this child was hangry, a combination of hungry and angry. This was a nasty case of neuropeptide Y. Thank you very much for listening, and I will speak to you on Monday, maybe Tuesday. Speak to you next week. Have a lovely weekend, friends. Enjoy the bank holiday.